This is what it looks like when God's children know who He is. When God's children know who He is in the middle of the storm. This is what it sounds like. This is what it looks like. Jesus. I've tried so hard to see it. It took me so long to believe it, that you choose someone like me to carry your victory. Perfection could never earn it. You give what we don't deserve, and you take the broken things and raise them to glory. You are my champion, and giants fall when you stand undefeated. Every battle you've won, and I am who you say I am. You crown me with confidence. I am seated in the heavenly place, undefeated, with the one who has conquered it all. And now I can finally see it, teaching me how to receive it. So let all the striving cease, 'cause this is my victory. You are my champion. places. When I lift my voice. When I lift my voice and shout, every wall comes crashing down. I have the authority that Jesus has given me. When I open up my mouth, miracles start breaking out. I have the authority that Jesus has given me. Can you guys picture David singing this out as he's walking towards this giant? And he's got everybody around him. It's just like what we're in the middle of right now. We're in the middle of it right now. David is standing in the face of this giant, and everybody around him is fearful. Everybody around him is afraid in that moment. But there's something inside of him. There's a song inside of him, just like this very song right now, that knows the authority that he carries, that knows the God who's got his back. And I can just picture David as he's walking towards the giant, and this song is just stirring inside of him. The song is stirring inside of him as the giant's sitting there laughing at him and mocking him and mocking God. But there's this rage on the inside of him because he's seen what God has brought him through. He's seen the faithfulness of God in his life. And I believe that giant fell the very moment he opened up his mouth and said, "I'll defeat you in the name of the Lord." The victory was won in that moment. Let's just sing that one more time. When I lift my voice and shout, every wall comes crashing down. I have the authority that Jesus has given me. When I open up my mouth, the miracles start breaking out. I have the authority that Jesus has given me. One more time. When I lift my voice, every wall, I have the authority that Jesus has given me. And when I open up my mouth, the miracles, I have the authority that Jesus has given me.
2 Corinthians 9:7 and 8 says, "You must each decide in your heart how much to give. And don't give reluctantly or in response to pressure, for God loves a person who gives cheerfully. And God will generously provide all you need. Then you will always have everything you need and plenty left over to share with others." Your generosity allows Newsoul Ribera to produce and broadcast services to people in need of hope. And your giving helps provide a way to keep meeting together online during the COVID-19 crisis. You are also helping to provide food and other essentials for people in the valley. We have 2 quick and easy ways for you to give. By mail, Newsoul Church Ribera, 7311 Glen Rio Road Northwest, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87121. Or you can give online, newsoulribera.com. That's newsoulribera.com.
We're so excited to announce that Newsoul Ribera will now be inside the YouVersion Bible app. You'll be able to find all of our church events in the app and follow along with the sermon. You can take your own notes, see our announcements, and all the things you need to know. Get prayer, visit our website, and find Bible plans to go along with the message this week. You're going to love it. All you need to do is open YouVersion Bible app, go right down to the section that says More, and then Events, and then click on the map or type in Newsoul Ribera in the search field. If you have any questions, let us know. Have you ever had someone lie to you really well? I mean, impressively well. They were telling a story, a narrative so well that was false, that was completely false, but they were doing it so well that you were just amazed at how well they were into their story, their lie, and you're watching them and you know the truth, you know that they're lying to you, but you just want to see how far they go. The level of detail, the twists and turns, maybe they acted it out, they poured their emotions into it, their level of voice rose and fell. And they figured that if they poured on enough of a show, that you would be, or it may have been you telling the story, that if you poured on enough of a show, if you had enough of a show that they were telling to you, you'd be so distracted by the incredible detail and this amazing tale you were telling that they would forget that it wasn't true. They were more interested in being believed than they were in being truthful. You know, when someone makes a promise to you that they don't intend to keep, or they lie to you, it does say something about how they value you, right? When we get lied to, when someone doesn't come through for us, it says a lot to us about where we rank in their priorities. Have you ever been lied to by someone you love or someone you respected and you saw them break a commitment to you? And there's something about that, isn't it? That it has the power to hit us deep down in our soul. It has a ripple effect in ways other types of behaviors don't. It can poison our soul. It can break our heart. And it has the power to change us. One of the unintended consequences of people who lie to us or who break their commitments to us is that it can make us jaded and suspicious. Have you ever been that way? Have you ever felt that way where something's happened to you and now you're jaded and now you're suspicious of everyone? And the problem with that is, who wants to live in a neighborhood where everyone is jaded and suspicious? Who wants to go to a school where everyone is jaded and suspicious? Who wants to work at a company that everyone there is jaded and suspicious? Our culture that we live in right now, it is so intense, and there is so much pressure to say the correct thing and to not be offensive, that there is a lot of generalities being spoken. People are vague in what they say because no one wants to make someone mad, especially if you're a politician. If you're a politician right now and you don't say the right thing regardless of what political party you are, if you don't say the thing that the people who got you elected want you to say, if you tell the part of the story that's not the full story, but maybe just the part of the story, that the truth they want you to tell, if you don't say the right thing, you won't be reelected. If you're a business owner right now, you have a company right now, or you're a church leader somewhere right now, or a leader of anything right now, education, health policy leader, government leader, if you don't say the right thing right now, or do the right thing right now, or tell the version of the truth that people want you to tell right now, you could lose your job, or you could lose your business. People won't buy from you anymore. news outlets right now are facing the same pressure. Celebrities face the same pressure, where you have to say the thing that everybody, the most offensive thing. The problem with that is that it has created a culture that we live in that is exhausting. It's tiring so many times to consume the information that we're consuming, whether it be on the news or it be on social media or wherever it is that we're getting information. It can become tiring because people are inauthentic. People aren't able to just be real. They have to be scripted and say exactly the right thing that is inoffensive. And where do we go, I guess is a question to ask you. Where do we go right now in our culture to find people who are honest and real? Where are we going to go? Seems like everyone has an agenda. Everyone's trying to please a certain constituency, a certain audience. So where are we going to go to find people who are just honest and real? Our culture is starving for that right now. When we meet people like that who are real and who have integrity, it's like pouring rain in the middle of a dry summer. It's like a fresh breeze on a muggy, humid, hot day. It's that fresh air that finally hits your face and cools you off. That's what it's like to meet people who are honest and real, who have integrity. The time that we're in right now is so uncertain, right? The one thing we can all agree on as we go through this pandemic is that life is uncertain. If you had any question about whether life was certain or not, or uncertain or not, that question has been answered for all of us. The economy is uncertain, our health is uncertain, politics is uncertain, everything is uncertain in our world. Well, in times of uncertainty, when there's no way to guarantee the future, who are you going to trust? You have to trust somebody. So who are you going to trust? Which voice, the ones that are fighting for your attention, which one are you going to trust? You have to trust someone. So that's why in our culture we rely so much on testimonials, right? A testimonial is where you actually have someone who's purchased the product that you're thinking about purchasing, or received the service, or went to the hotel, or visited Disneyland already with masks on, or ate the food, went to the restaurant. What's it like now during the pandemic at the certain restaurant? What's it like to eat food out of styrofoam boxes? Does the food taste different? What's the patio like? We depend on testimonials right now. That's why we like social media so much. That's why many of us are searching the news or sources of information, because we want to know if someone else who's already experienced it can give us better information to help us make a decision. So where do trustworthiness and credibility come from? If trust is so key right now in trying to navigate our uncertain times, how do we become trustworthy? Or what makes someone trustworthy or credible? Jesus said, "You have heard that it was said to people long ago, 'Do not break your oath, but fulfill to the Lord the vows you have made. But I tell you, do not swear an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or by earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot even make one hair white or black. All you need to say is simply yes or no." Jesus comes in. We've been studying this message of Jesus through the first, in chapter 5, 6, and 7 of Matthew's account, eyewitness account of this sermon that Jesus gave. The first thing that Jesus does when he addresses this is he addresses the value system and customs of the audience he was talking to. The culture of the people that he was speaking to, their forefather, their founding father was Moses. And he was addressing the words of Moses that God had given to Moses that became the blueprint, the constitution, the DNA of an entire nation. It put together the values, what they believed, how they behaved, everything that made Israel a unique nation on the earth, that came out of slavery, who were an oppressed people, who had nothing of their own, who were used and abused. It gave them an identity. And Jesus is addressing this identity, and he's addressing their customs. He says, he said that Moses said that God had given these commands to Israel. So here's the commands that he was addressing. Fear the Lord your God and serve him only, and take your oaths in his name. And the next one, you shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name. Some of you who grew up in church or who know the Ten Commandments know that this is the commandment that says you shall not take the name of the Lord in vain. So God told the people to take an oath in his name and not to misuse his name. So it was God's idea, and it was given through Moses. And Jesus comes in, and so let's just unpack that for a moment. When God gave his name to the people of Israel, why did he do that? Well, he was giving to them trust and credibility. When Israel came out of Egypt, they were slaves. They had no business experience. They had nothing that would give them credibility amongst each other. They had only worked for someone else. And so in order to build their relationships with one another, God said, I'm going to give you automatic credibility. I'm going to give you work history. I'm going to give you a great credit background. I'm going to give you my name. And if you swear in my name, if you take an oath in my name, it'll be a stamp of approval that you are trustworthy. I'm going to give you a new identity. I'm giving you my identity. So use my name. It's like your parents giving you their credit card. You haven't earned credit like that, their credit limit, but they lend you their card so you have credibility. And he said, if you vow or say, I take an oath to, it immediately gives you trustworthiness. So, for example, someone in that day would say, well, I vow to the Lord that I will take care of your sheep, in a good way. And so that gave you credibility. So they agreed to do business with you. We have that in a modern sense, right? You've seen it. You've seen the place on the side of the road. It might be Lucy's Christian hairstyling shop. And she has a cross and a Jesus fish. And so she's appealing to your Christian nature. And so she's using symbols that will get you in the door. It's a marketing strategy, right? And what she's hoping is that gives her credibility. And you and I, if you've been around long enough, you've known that doesn't always give you the best credibility because somebody has a symbol in their name in business or in life. But Jesus speaks and he says, but I say. So we can't just ignore this. Jesus is saying something revolutionary. He is making himself the new authority. He was saying that the old had served its purpose. Moses had his time. The laws that the people lived by had served their purpose, but now he was here. There was a new sheriff in town, and he was giving a new law, a new way of doing things. And here's what he was saying. Jesus is the new. The reason why he wanted to change things is because from the time that the original laws were given in those couple thousand years that had passed, Israel, the nation, had begun to take the name of the Lord in vain. What does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean you're, saying the name of God in a cuss word. That's not what was being meant here. What was being meant here is that they were taking God's name as his they were using his stamp of approval, but weren't delivering the goods for the people. They weren't delivering on their promise. They didn't have excellence. They were mistreating each other while using the name of the Lord for their own advantage. Testimonials work until they don't, right? Companies right now, places like Airbnb or hotels, or if you go on, we're all trying to shop online, and what's happening in our new day is we don't get to try things on like we used to because we can't go to stores. Shopping malls are closed for the most part. We're having to buy things online. So we're trusting that the manufacturer or the seller is giving us a product that delivers as advertised. It's a trust, it's a risk. So what do? We read the testimonials, right? We love the 5-star system. Is this a 5-star? We go in there and we select, I only want 4 stars and up. I only want the companies, the hotels, the restaurants, the products that say that is a 4-star and up. So we want the best reviews, and we want, the choice, the company's choice one, and we're reading through all the reviews, and we're actually seeing if it's true, if it's credible. There's photos there of what it looked like when they got it out of the box. But what companies have learned is that is what's driving sales. The authentic testimonial is what drives sales. So what they are doing is hiring people who their job description is to write fake testimonials for these products and services. So it is now a whole company's mission. There are companies that are established that manage a company's reputation. That's what they do. So, in other words, the authenticity of the testimonial is now gone. So, the same thing had happened in the lives of the people of Israel. They began to use the name of the Lord in vain. What had happened is now they had options. But when, at the beginning, they needed God's approval to begin a relationship, a business relationship, for example. But now they had options. And they only took the jobs, for example, that was best for them. And they said no to the other ones, even though they had made a commitment to stand by that other behavior or those other agreements. They had found a loophole. They began to swear by other things. So they were still swearing on things that sounded like God, but weren't really God, and it gave them a way out. Jesus said, don't swear an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot even make one hair white or black. If they didn't keep their promise, they would say, well, I swore on this object. I swore by Jerusalem. I swore on the earth. I swore on the sky. So it didn't really count because, it was more like you can pencil it in, right? It's not penciled it in. I tried, but it didn't really take, right? I didn't swear by God, so they got themselves out of it. And what they were really doing was playing word games. It's like the little kid who holds 2 fingers behind their back when they're telling a lie. Jesus said heaven belongs to God. So if you're swearing by heaven, that belongs to God. Earth belongs to God. Jerusalem, the sacred city, that belongs to God. You're made in the image of God, so you don't even have power over yourself. You can't make your hair white or black. So Jesus was eliminating the separation between the sacred and the secular. He was saying, look, you can't separate this. God is everywhere, and God is in everything. Those of you who are business owners know that this is true. We talk about faith-based businesses, businesses that have a Christian focus. Well, any business owner will say it is a faith-based business. It takes faith to start a company and believe that in the future somebody's going to buy your products or services. It takes faith to hire an employee to believe that there's going to be enough to pay them. Jesus was saying there is no longer a separation between the sacred and the secular. God is in everything. So whatever you claim to get you out of it, God is there. So that's not going to get you out of the commitment you made. He said, blind guides, what sorrow awaits you? For you say that it means nothing to swear by God's temple, but that it is binding to swear by the gold in the temple. Blind fools, which is more important, the gold or the temple that makes the gold sacred? And you say that to swear by the altar is not binding, but to swear by gifts on the altar is binding. How blind! For which is more important, the gift on the altar or the altar that makes the gift sacred? When you swear by the altar, you're swearing by it and everything on it. And when you swear by the temple, you are swearing by it and by God who lives in it. And when you swear by heaven, you are swearing by the throne of God and by God who sits on the throne. In our day, we have attorneys, the court system, and government agencies to enforce contracts, which are just written or digital promises. But the ones that were breaking the promises in Jesus' day were the attorneys and the government officials. They were the ones who were supposed to enforce justice. You see, because not honoring your commitments is an act of injustice. Justice means that you treat everyone according to their value and what they're due. Every human being is made in the image of God. Whether you're a woman, or you're black, or Native American, or Hispanic, or Mexican, German, Irish, Scottish, every color, every creed, every human being is made in the image of God. Whether you have a handicap or not, whether you have a disability, a mental disability, mental illness or not, you are made in the image of God. And Jesus was saying, when you are making an oath, you should don't make an oath. When you make an agreement with someone, you should honor that agreement, not because you have called on some temple, but you honor the agreement because they're made in the image of God. James, Jesus' brother, said, but above all, that's important. But above all, my brothers and sisters, do not swear, either by heaven or by earth or with any other oath, but let your yes be yes and your no be no, so that you may not fall under judgment. So, how do we apply this? A few principles. How do we apply this in our lives? We are all going to be tempted to compromise our integrity. We are all going to be tempted to compromise our integrity. That's part of life. So, number one, you will only go as far in life as your integrity will take you. You will only go as far in life as your integrity will take you. Not your talent. There is nothing more common than an unsuccessful, gifted, and talented person. You may be able to sing, may be able to write, you may be able to be athletic, you may have good looks, you may have incredible intelligence. But if you don't have character, that is going to be the lid on the success you will have in your life. You might have an incredible personality. You light up a room. You're the center, you're the life of the party. You're a jokester, you're a prankster. You can make anyone laugh. But you're going to be limited by your character. When what you say and what you do don't line up, people are no longer going to respect you. And when they don't respect you, they won't follow you. People will only follow you as far as they respect you. And we only respect people whose words and actions line up. Even if you have positional authority, you could be a teacher, a coach, a pastor. You could be a boss at work, a manager of some kind. You could lead a team. But you could be a law enforcement, a member of law enforcement. And you have positional authority. And for the moment that you have lights on and your badge and your gun, or the first day you walk into class or show up at the job, you have a few moments where they'll listen to you because of the job. But what we see in our country right now is our systems are failing us because those who said they existed to protect and serve are being caught doing neither of those. And that's where, once that happens, people disrespect you and your influence begins to wane. Number 2, why you're tempted to compromise on your integrity. It's not because you're a bad person. It's not because you're malicious. It's not because you're evil. It's not because you want to hurt other people. One of the main reason why you're tempted to compromise your integrity is because your priorities are always changing. Do you have the same priorities today as you did 5 years ago? Think of yourself 5 years ago. Are the priorities you have today the same as they were 5 years ago? How about 10 years ago? How about 30 years ago? Do you have the same priorities today as you did then? They're always changing because life is always changing. So when that happens, if you say yes and you make an agreement, what you are saying is, I will honor my agreement even when my priorities change and times change. I will still honor my agreement. Number 3, we believe our own excuses. Isn't that one of the main reasons why we don't honor our commitments? We tell ourselves lies. We rationalize, which means we tell ourselves rational lives, right? We talk to ourselves, you deserve it. You deserve to no longer be in this commitment. It's not fair. It's not fair to you anymore. It's not fair. They're getting a better deal than I am. Or, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. They probably forgot about it. Well, did you forget about it? If you're still remembering it, there's a pretty good chance they still remember it, the promise you made. The end justifies the means. Hey, look, as long as we get a good result, anything is up for fair game. The ends justify the means. So, it's okay to be dishonorable as long as the end is honorable. It's okay to be violent as long as the end is peace. It's okay to be corrupt as long as the goal is to get rid of corruption. Number 4 is listen quickly and speak slowly. Before you start to make an agreement with someone, listen quickly. Be great at listening. Think through what you're being asked to do. Consider it. This puts you in a very powerful position. You're called to own your life, to make the decision. If someone asks you to make an agreement to do something right away, here's a great response. I don't know. Why don't you practice it right where you are? Just say it. I don't know. Or, let me get back to you. And actually get back with them. Okay? To say, let me get back to you and not get back to you because I hope you're going to forget it because of the pandemic and life is it's dishonoring to that person. The reason why you should keep your word and just be yes or no and honor your commitments is not because it breaks a commandment. It's because it hurts the other person. It dishonors them. That's the reason why you should keep your word, because it hurts them. A lot of Christians will say, they're afraid to say no. So they'll say things like, I'll pray about it. I don't think it's God's will. It's a closed door. Or, I just didn't feel prompted. Or, I don't feel led. Instead of just saying no. Just say no. What Jesus is saying here is don't hide. Don't hide. Be transparent. Be real. Be open. Be honest. When you say yes to any agreement, you're giving a part of yourself. You're giving your time, your energy, your preparation, clean up. It's opportunities that you're not going to do because you've made an agreement to do this instead. But you're saying, yes, I agree to that. I will commit to that. Or say no. It is not easy to say no. Some of you are people pleasers by your nature, You don't like to say no. It's hard for you to say no. But I want you to know that if you're a people pleaser and you can't say no to somebody and you say yes when you really don't really want to do it, the reason you're doing that is only to protect yourself. It's all about you and what they think of you, and you want them to like you and think you're a good person. Instead of being honest and saying, no, I can't make it, it allows the other person to move on to someone else, and they will respect you, usually, for the courage to be honest with them. The one thing we should be in this world as Jesus followers is dependable. We live in a world in which almost nothing is dependable. So we should be dependable. We should be people that you can count on. As we close today, if you're not a follower of Jesus today, and you're watching because, I'm going to assume you're watching because you're interested in God. You're seeking spiritual purpose in your life. You feel empty. You're hungry for spiritual things. And you want to follow Jesus. I want to invite you to follow Jesus. I'm going to lead you in a prayer in a moment where you can come to know Jesus himself. Not a set of rules, not some ancient text, but Jesus, the real living Jesus alive. You can know him. But it first starts with honesty. You can never have a relationship with God unless you're honest. You have to be really honest with yourself. You can't be blaming others. You have to have the courage to be honest with yourself. God does not expect perfection, but he does expect honesty. Being honest, you have to own your life. It's your life, not your parents' life, grandparents' life. It's not your spouse's life, it's yours. What are you going to do with the life you have? Own your decisions. We all make bad decisions sometimes. It's part of life. But God expects us to own those decisions. A mature person says, I blew it. I messed up. An immature person wants to run away and cover it up and blame someone else. So if you want to give your life to Jesus, I'm going to lead you through a prayer. It's a very honest prayer. Don't pray it unless you're willing to be honest. Okay, just pray after me. Say, Jesus. Right where you are, just say, Jesus, I give you my life. I need you. I've made a mess of my life. I've hurt others. I've hurt me. I've told so many lies. I've hidden for so long. I don't want to hide anymore. I want to come out into the open. I want to be honest. I want to be free. Give me a new heart. Fill me with your spirit. Change me on the inside. I give you my life. Please give me your life. And if you are a follower of Jesus, I want to encourage you to follow a little bit further. My challenge to you is, how many of you have unkept promises to friends, loved ones? The promises that you made that you're remembering right now, and you're hoping they forgot, but if you remember, they probably do too, that you need to follow up with. You need to actually keep your promise, even though it's been a long time. It's time to keep your promise. Maybe financial institutions. Maybe there's some debts you need to pay. Been dodging phone calls. Not opening mail because you made a commitment, but you don't want to keep it. I want to challenge you. Keep your commitment and follow through. Every time you follow through, you grow in character. You become more real. And the more real that you become, the more influence you will have, because your integrity will grow, and the more influence you have on other people because you live out what you say. Is your life talking as loud as your mouth? Are you living as strong as you talk? What we should be known for is not how loud we talk, or the religious words we use. What we should be known for is how we live our lives. Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Don't add anything else. Your life should be the loudest thing about you in keeping your promise. Let's pray together. I'll lead you in a prayer as we close. Heavenly Father, I pray for my brothers and sisters who are struggling right now and needing the courage, who are terrified of having to keep promises and call people up and pay bills and deal with everything else that they need to keep commitments to. I pray you would give them courage. I pray you would bring to their remembrance promises that they might have forgotten. And I pray you would give them the courage and the strength to follow through. And I pray that all of us would not be known for the religious and church words that we say, but the loudest thing about us is that the way we live our lives, that we can be dependent on, that we have integrity wherever we go. I pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. As we close, I can't wait to see you. I miss you. We're doing Newsoul in the neighborhood. Some of you will be seeing us very soon in person, which I'm very excited about. Stay connected to our digital platforms. Connect with us on Wednesday night. We love you. We're praying for you. Let me speak a blessing over you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious to you. And may he give you peace. I love you.